trees, your yellow leaves move me. Dancing roofs, your painted red shakes the room. When I get there, I'll let my feet roll. When I get there, I'll break in your arms, I'll lose control. When I get there, I'll know the answer. Let me know when I get closer. Hinterland, you're my sailing ship. Guide me in when you head for your trip. Right out of this wicked life.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. This is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now this is the weekly live stream where we just sit around and talk about whatever we feel like talking about. We talk about, well, mostly it's apps. I mean, hey, I make apps. So mostly it's apps, but sometimes we diverge a little bit. That's why I say we talk about what we want to. There's never a topic. We just hang. We just hang out, right? So, it's been a really good week. You might notice I keep moving on the live streams. So one of the things I did a few weeks ago was I was reading the book Atomic Habits. First of all, I hope you guys could hear me. Let me know if you guys could hear me because of the new setup and everything. So a few weeks ago, I was reading Atomic Habits and I thought, I want to try something different and move the desk from the living room into my bedroom for two reasons. First of all, my kids will be coming home from university in a few months for summer, and I thought it's better that they could use the living room whenever, watch TV, and also the so all that. So it's not like I have a meeting, so you can't come into the living room, that kind of stuff. So and then I also thought maybe it'll help me focus a little bit. I just go in there, get rid of all the other distractions, and just sitting there at my computer. I mean, there's a bed, which is kind of a big distraction, but I mean, it's not, it's just a bed, right? So, so I thought I would do that, and I'm like 2 weeks in, and I'm like, oh, I can't find a good place to film a video. So it used to be I could just get the camera out, so it's a bit cramped in there, and I'm kind of hate it. If you guys have as much computer equipment, you know what it's like to move your computer. It's like, you got all the cables, everything's kind of a mess behind the thing. You got, move the desk in there. Of course, the desk doesn't fit through the hallway, so I take everything apart. So after all that stuff, I'm thinking, do I really want to move back out? So this week I thought I'm just going to do get the laptop out, the Macbook Air, which is the one I'm trying to get used to using. And, so no big microphone or anything. And just do it from here. We'll do it from my living room like before. So it's much nicer in here. You got the window. You see it's daylight. It's daylight savings time now, or British summertime. So anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Happy Monday. So let's see who's here. Joe's here. Joe says, howdy, Eric. Let's see. Hope you guys can see that. Joe says, howdy, Eric. So I'm on a new computer here, so everything. Howdy. Let's see. Robert says, hey, everyone. Hey. Robert says, which crypto projects do you find interesting? So this is I talked about crypto a few weeks ago, and this is one of those things where I feel like I'm such a late bloomer when it comes to it that I kind of got some crypto just to see what it was like. I did the same thing back in the late 90s or early 2000s. I set up a blog because I just wanted to see what it was like. I want to see what all the fuss was about. And like a lot of other people I was surrounded with were like, oh man, why do you have to have a blog? Oh, it's like, but it's like, when you're not surrounded by technical people, you don't really get a lot of exposure to this kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get some crypto. And I got some Ethereum. Because I was interested in making smart contracts, or at least learn how that works. And it was pretty interesting in terms of the infrastructure and everything that it uses, and the language is called Swift something, or not Swift. I forgot what Swiftify or something. I can't remember what it is, but it's got a certain language with it, which is not all that dissimilar to JavaScript and other scripting languages. And so I bought some of that, and then I bought some Bitcoin. Not a lot, just a few $100s. I bought some Bitcoin, and I bought some Cardano. I bought some. There's a few others, and it's so in the end, I think it's just I think I moved, like just this last week, I just moved everything into Bitcoin. It's one of those things where I'm kind of out of my depths. I'm thinking, if I put it in there, hopefully it'll still be there when I get back. But I'm not an expert in it at all. Like even when I try to read about it, it's like, right? just okay. So I know certain people are like, it's so volatile that they're able to buy and then sell in the same day and everything. And I just haven't been that kind of person. So let's see. Ron Deere, hello. Let's see. You guys see the text on the screen? There was a little message that came up here. All in one. Hey Eric, how's it going? All in one. Cool, loud and clear. Awesome. Jeff, hey, how's it going? Hey yo, dude, this is like the first day we've had like not good weather. Isn't that weird? Well, yesterday I guess. Coding with Chip says, did you say happy Friday? I love your optimism. Did I say happy Friday? Happy Monday. God, I haven't done the Friday one in like over a year. Let's see, who else we got here? And we got Savan Luffy. Hey guys, hey, how's it going? Kevin's here. Hey Kevin. And let's see, Felty Eric is, and my indie app brothers. Hey, how's it going? App brothers, the app brethren. We should all get together and, I don't know, what will we do? Steal each other's ideas? Raja, hey, how's it going? Let's see, Jeff says, Eric, is a MacBook Air okay for Xcode? My 2017 is starting to struggle. You know what? I haven't done anything specifically in Xcode. Everything I've done has been through like the Flutter and Visual Studio. So Xcode is like the underlying thing. Like everything has to go through Xcode at some level, like to sign something and to package it. A lot of times you have to use Xcode. Well, not in Xamarin, but in Flutter you do. I mean, it's so. And I haven't had any trouble with it. In fact, it's worked pretty well. One of the things, so I had the God, it's amazing. So today I was reading these like for a while I started journaling, and I kind of go off and on journaling. So I was going through and reading some stuff I was writing back in like 2013 when I was just kicking things off, and it's when I got my MacBook, like my MacBook Pro, and it was like 2,000 pounds or something, 2,500 pounds. So it was like a lot of money, and I hated it. I hated this MacBook, and it worked okay for me. But one of the things is after a while, I just kept running out of disk space. I had like a 512 gigabyte SSD, and I kept running out of disk space. And every time I turn it on, the fan will go shh, and I didn't notice it. I didn't hear it. Like it's but every time I was in an office, people go like, "What's that noise? Like who's about to take off?" So the nice thing about the MacBook Air is that there's no fan. Like everything seems to work pretty well, and I haven't had any trouble with it. To be honest with you, like a lot of the heavy stuff I've been doing on the desktop computer. But one of my goals, again, another one of the goals of like moving the computer in there is like I want to work from here more often, get used to using the laptop. I've always had this thing when I got a laptop where I wanted to be someone who could just like not use a mouse. Like I wanted to be like like we all know keyboard shortcuts, right? Some people know more than others. Some people are like, if they're a Visual Studio user, they use ReSharper or whatever IDE you use, all the stuff. And you're like, if you could not touch the mouse, you're like a badass, right? Like, only losers use the mouse. Why is that so hard to say? Only losers use the mouse. But, I still have to use the mouse all the time. So, but I always thought, like, if I could just get, like, I'm amazed at people who could just have one small little screen and just work from there. And it's just like constantly switching back from one to the other. But it's doing all right. Matt Glover, hey Matt, how's it going? Hey Eric, it's been a while. I've been busy working my own apps. Today was release day. Hey, congratulations. That's awesome. I've been going through the release process on a lot of applications lately. It's one of these, I haven't been releasing any of my own. I've been working on my own over the weekend. It's so much difficult to work on your own app because, well, first of all, I'm doing the same thing I keep saying not to do. This like do as I say, don't do as I do. But I start thinking of a new feature and I'm like, no, I want to do that feature first. And then that's like another weekend gone and like another weekend. So, congratulations. Solidity. Yeah, Solidity. That's right. Yeah. Cool. Solidity is the language that's used for smart contracts. See, thanks, Savan and Joe. Yeah, so the thing with Solidity, like I was like kind of like, dude, I could do this. Like it was like, this isn't that hard. We could do like some blockchain projects and everything. And then I started thinking about the practical applications, and I just could not think of a good use case for it. I know there's probably some out there, but see. Let's see. MD says, Eric, are you excited about the Pixel Watch coming out in October? I haven't really been. I think as a developer, like only once have I had somebody come to me with like a smartwatch project, and it was a few years ago. And in the end, we didn't take it on because I asked, like, basically, I was like, yeah, we could probably do like an Apple Watch project. I mean, I looked into it. It doesn't look that difficult to do. But the developers I was talking to, they were like, because I was thinking I didn't have time to do it myself. So like the development company I was working with, I said, can you guys do it? And they were like, oh yeah, we could do it. And it was like, as I started asking more questions, like, now you guys can't do it. Like we've had other things where they're like, oh yeah, no, we could do it. And you're like, okay, first of all, when something comes to you, it's like something specific, like if you don't need to go and check, like if it's something like, oh, okay, I need an application that connects to like an API, or I need an API, a database with an API and an application that connects to that, and I want to store log entries and stuff like that. Easy, right? But if they say, I want to be able to, they give you some sort of fringe thing, like, I want to be able to, well, like with EarSpy, I get this all the time, because I get stuff like, is it possible to have an app that will like read all of your phone messages, and if somebody mentions a certain thing, it flags it up to you, and you're like, I doubt it. Like you'd have to give that all kinds of permissions. You have to get Apple to approve it, but it's still one of those things where I'd have to go and have a look, right? So when somebody brings up like a fringe thing to you, which is what they did, this Apple Watch thing was still very new, and the developer's like, oh yeah, no, our guys could do it. I'm like, I don't trust you, but like from because I got the iPhone and everything, I'm like, I am so, do you know what? What's happened to me? Why have I become this Apple guy? I never wanted to be this way. I didn't want to be this guy. Let's see. Rajat says, I did contact Google Play support team. They said that we could create multiple developer accounts, but with different payment profiles. That's cool. Yeah. I guess I did have one, like I think I was talking about last time, Rajat, that I did have one where we didn't deploy an app in time. We had to set up a second one with a new name and new like everything else, and it was a pain, right? So when you say payment profiles, you're talking about like another, like you could, so like we talk about your Google Pay payment profile. So we talk about like, so you have your Google developer console, you have your payment profiles associated with it, and you have your bank. You don't need to have two banks, do you? You just have the one bank, and then both of them feeding off that, right? Try to think like it's a tree. It'd be like bam, bam, bam. Like, can you have like one bank feeding off multiple payment profiles? You should be able to, actually. Let's see. Savan says, have you ever built apps that only run locally on the Android phone, e.g. SQLite? If yes, what's the best way to back up the database and validate the backup file when restoring the data? There's different ways of doing that. Yes, I have done it. We tried one where we had this one application we put out there, and it was like, it had like thousands of like the pre-existing data in the database. And the first thing I tried to do was like have this SQL script that would, as soon as the app first opened, it would say, create the database on the documents folder, and then run all those SQL scripts to store it in there, right? So, but it was like a long startup time. In the end, basically what I did was I put it in the app's resources, or into the resource file, and then the first thing I would do is copy that SQL file over to documents, and then use documents for that. So, and one of the things that I would do after that was have like because there's no reason to back up everything. You just want to back up the modified file. So if you have like if you were your SQLite database, if you started off with a core SQLite database, and then you take that and you saved it to like their documents directory, and then it can be modified from then, you might want to just back up those modifications, or you might want to back up the whole thing, right? We had one where we had one like that where they could modify the local database, but we also had like one of the things we did a lot, because offline stuff was like every client would have. We did one for it was in the medical industry, and it's not, it was like journals and stuff like that. It wasn't anything like, open heart surgery. It wasn't anything really, really cool, but it was like they wanted to be able to look at their research documentation and everything. So what we did was we just had this API which would have like all the records in there, And then when the app would open up, we would know when the database had a table in it to say the last updated date. So like the last updated date would check that date, and it will say, okay, and it would send that to the API and say, give me everything that's been updated since that date. And then you'd only have to worry about the updates. And at first, it was doing like just sending the, like a null date and just getting everything. And again, that was at too slow a startup time. So we did the same thing where every time we release a new version, we basically take that, put it into SQLite, and then use that as the core database for the application every time it got released. And if they didn't already have it, then it would use that one and then go and get that. So it was all about like you wanted to have all that stuff locally on the machine. Again, when we talking about like something running offline, yeah, we've had that too, where we didn't update it. Like it was just like everything was just stored locally. In fact, we've done that. Like, I'm trying to think. Actually, now that I think of like most of our early apps were like that, where like no backend server at all. But in terms of backing it up and restoring the data, there's different ways of doing that. Like by default, I think there's a setting in. I guess it depends. Like in Ionic, for example, there's a setting where you can just have it so it automatically gets backed up in the iCloud and Google Play will automatically back it up too. So there's ways of doing that. You could export the database and re-import it if you want to do something more verbose. But there is a setting where you could like, and it's not a setting in the SQLite format. It's like the setting on the library package. So check the library package. So you might have something like that, which will automatically back it up. Rajat says, they also said that you could keep all those accounts logged on the same device without any problem. Along with that, you can use your previous bank accounts to receive payments. Perfect then. Well, yeah, this is one of the things I've shied away from is doing another account, just because it seemed like a big pain to do. But and I think the only downside would be like if you had you'd have to have multiple Gmail accounts as the account owner. And I guess you could probably link them, couldn't you? So you could only look at it in one place. You don't have to like log in another, because you don't want to get some email like at an account, like a Gmail account you never check or something like we're shutting your account down in 2 days or something. Hope it helps the others too. Yeah, cool. Thanks. Matt says, yeah, you're telling me scope creep is a monster. Was determined now to MVP everything. Until now, there's an audience for my ideas. Until I know there's an audience. Yeah, that's just it. I mean, it's that, and there's this weird thing that when you're working on somebody else's project, it doesn't occur to you until you do your own. Where in your mind, because you've been working on it for so long, that you think this is too easy. Like, this is like, I should make this more complicated. I should not. But then it's really like you don't know if there's a market for it. So you start thinking, oh, I know what I'll do. I need to add this other feature. Oh, you really should be able to. You should be able to restore this data. You really should be able to do this. You really, and it'd be nice if you could change. Like, well, what if you could change the themes? Yes, dark mode is important. We need to have dark mode. Yeah, we must put dark mode in there. Okay, let's go back and redo everything so we support dark mode. And then you get to the point where you're like, you just need to go live and see how it does, because people will tell you what they want. Let's see. Samuel says, got to go back to Android. Yeah. Well, that explains why your app was working on Android, Samuel. Yeah, it's I keep thinking that. I mean, I hated iPhone. I hated iPhone when I started doing app development. I'm like, first of all, they're always rejecting things. I mean, back in the old days of Google Play, you just put anything on there, it's just live. Like they didn't care. Like it was just so, so unregulated. I mean, there's all kinds of terrible apps on there, and now it's getting more difficult on Google Play with all the algorithms and rejections and everything like that. But I do look at the Pixel. Like if I get an Android phone, in fact I have a Pixel 3 as a test phone, but I keep thinking I should do that. And even so, one of the things I've been trying to do this week also, this past week, or just this weekend, yesterday, was I have a Xamarin Forms app, which it works, it's been tested on Android and iPhone, perfect, but the client wants it as a Windows application, and that should work. but all of my devices are Mac now. So like, and I'm trying to run it in a Parallels virtual machine. I'm trying to do a UWP application. It's been so long since I've done a Windows desktop app that I kind of think I should just be, it's an exe, and then I send the executable over to them. Or, the package deployment wizard, I just use that, but apparently it's like UWP and everything like that. And it's like, and they've been on me to give them a quote. Again, this is like one of those things when somebody asks to give a quote. I could just say, like, I'm thinking maybe I should just give them like a quote, like, and just, because there's like research that has to be like, I don't, like, there's a gap. And then there's also one of these things where I'm thinking, I should probably just take this to Upwork and then see if I can find somebody, just like, because this is like outside of my comfort zone. But it's also an application that communicates with like a Bluetooth device and everything like that, and that device is kind of proprietary, but the rest of the application isn't. But Adrian says, can anyone advise me on pros, cons of Android subscription app? A free version with ads would be a poor UX for my meditation theme. Yeah, I'd imagine so. But Headspace and Calm are doing great with reviews. Great despite the reviews. Yes, I mean, a free version with ads. Yeah, but Headspace and Calm, they don't have ads in them, do they? They're just all subscription based. They'll give you like the bare, Headspace gives you that 10 lessons or whatever. They give you like a few things here and there, but not everything. So I think the subscription, I don't see the pros of it would be the recurring revenue. The pros of it would be people could try out the application, but they could subscribe for like longer periods of time and everything like that. What I would do is try to make sure that they always have that upgrade to pro always visible, so there's always that easy way to go ahead and do it, and have those kind of buttons that they could click on. And you don't want to you got to be kind of a jerk in terms of the UX. Like you need to have all the features there and allow, like, don't gray anything out. Don't make anything look like, I mean, you could gray it out, I suppose, but, or you could do when they click on it, you show the pop-up, and that would be like, because that way at least you get it in front of them all the time, and then play around with that a little bit. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up, everybody, by the way. But so the cons of it would be, it's kind of a pain to set up, my thing. And usually you have that free trial and everything like that. But if you get them in on it as a subscription application, and I don't know why why you're saying Android as opposed to both, Android and iOS. I mean, unless you're only doing Android. MD says, I have one paid app that made around $250 over 5 years. Okay, every single check went to the state of New Jersey, even though I have all of my bank information verified by Google. Any idea why? Dude, I got so much trouble with verifying my bank information with Google. Because every time I try to do my tax forms, it's like, because I have a UK company and I'm a US citizen. So every time it gets into that, it gets into the, I want it to go to the company. The company is the entity. But every time they say, "Are you a U.S. citizen?" I'm like, "Well, yes." And then it's like, that takes me on this other route. I got the same issue with Amazon, right? It's like, so I'm trying to think, what do I do? Do I just do it as an individual? And but let's see. Raja says, I use a subscription model with my app. Let's see. Someone says, thanks for the input. No problem. First, you need to upload frequent updates. App must be perfect as users expect quality experience. Yeah, but app must be perfect is kind of like a generic thing, right? Like all apps must be perfect. None of us put an app out there that we think is not like perfect or good enough. But pricing plays a vital point as user has to pay regularly. Low price is usually ideal. Yeah, but also isn't it, Raja? Again, I'm just asking, but like, is it good to have the like multiple tiers? So like having monthly, half yearly, and yearly and stuff like that too. Let's see. Rajat says, I would suggest you use the ads in your subscription app. You can remove ads for subscribed users, which eventually would lead to more sales. The vital point is your app's quality. But that does make sense. I mean, yeah. Thanks. Let's see. Robert T says, iOS users are more willing to pay for apps than Android users, whether it's apps, IAPs, or subscriptions. I agree. DJ Snoopy Zat the Poet. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. Rodion says, Rodion Sabbath says, is the UK better than the USA to live in? Good question. I don't know. I've lived in the UK a long time, and it was not, I was going to say it's not by choice, but it was kind of like, I was married, and it was kind of like let's try it for a little bit. And then for like the first 10 years or so, I was like, the first few years, I was like, just, okay, when are we moving back? When are we going back to the States? I miss baseball, I miss root beer, I miss Taco Bell, I miss whatever. And then after a while, it was like, and then after like 10 years, it was like, you start getting that, like, the accent is, my American accent is probably faded a bit, but it's by no means gone. So every time I go someplace, it's like, you kind of feel like a foreigner anyway, but but American. So like, yeah, it's different. Okay, so all right, let's see. 5 good things that I like about living in England. Number 1, we don't have state tax. There's just tax. There's loads of tax. My God, there's loads of tax. But it's a little bit easier that. Number 2, there's no sales tax and everything like that. We got VAT, which is like 20%. So there's plenty of that. Number 2, we're closer to a lot of other countries. So it's easy to go to another country if you wanted to. Number 3, vinegar on the chips. Fish and chips with vinegar on it. I don't know why that hasn't caught on in other places. Let's see. Number 4. Good thing about living over here. Everyone's really polite. I know that it's weird when you go to other places because people could be overly polite, but like I've been to the States. Actually, the people are really, really polite in the States, but it's like everyone kind of keeps to themselves. Like I've always been a very introverted person. I've always been like someone who keeps to himself. So like when you're in London, you're on the tube, whatever, people genuinely keep to themselves. But then you have like pubs and stuff like that. So if you go to the pub, and you have a few drinks, people are friendly, and and you start up conversations that way. But it's kind of like an invite only kind of thing, whereas like in the States, people are kind of like, hey, what you doing? Let's see. And number 5, let's see. We'll come back to 5. All right. Cons of living in the UK as opposed to America. Driving on the left was really, really difficult. And the driving test was super hard. I failed my driving. So I came out here when I was 25. I didn't get my license till I was 30 something, like early 30s. And I took that test 7 times. Like I was nearly in tears each time because it was like, why is the test so hard out here? Like I've been driving for years. I've been driving on the left for years. All this stuff, but the driving test was really, really hard. So driving on the left's kind of weird. And everything's so small. Everything's so squished together. Now, if you lived on the East Coast in the States, you're probably used to that. But San Diego in Southern California, everything was just wide and open. And I lived in Texas for a few years and everything like that. Let's see, another con to living over here. And I hope I'm not offending anybody. I probably shouldn't be going down this route. Another con to living over here. A lot of people say the weather, but the weather's not all that bad. Like it's like I don't mind the weather. I think the weather's for the most part it's nice. You've seen me do a lot of videos over the years out on a beautiful sunny day, and you appreciate the sunny days more when they're there as opposed to when it's just sunny all the time. See, I con to living in England. I don't know, if you're overly happy, sometimes it gets on people's nerves. Like I remember when I first moved out here, I got this job in a factory packing yogurt, and people would say this guy was complaining about when you go to the States, they always say have a nice day, or whatever. I'm like, why does that bother you? What's wrong with people saying have a nice day? And he goes, well, they don't mean it though, do they? It's the lack of sincerity that was bothers you. I don't know. Maybe that's not 5 of each thing. But what do you guys think? Like, so it's really difficult for me to answer because I've been here for so long. Like, the things that I missed a lot coming over here were baseball. I miss baseball a lot, and just being able to go someplace like it. Oh, here's another con of England is Sunday trading hours, where like all the shops are open from like 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Even the 24-hour shops, like the 24-hour grocery stores, they still have to close from, most of the day. So like every Sunday, if you don't plan very well, and I don't plan very well, I'm like trying to dash to get to the store before 4 p.m. on Sundays. But some of the things I miss a lot when I came out here was the baseball, a lot of the food, a lot of the places are open 24 hours. One of the things I like about over here is just being able to go to the pub and just like going to having a few drinks, and it's not that big a deal. Like, it's like, where, in this, like, I remember somebody saying when I first came out here, like in the States, if they say, let's go out for a beer, they literally mean one beer. But if you go out for like, have a beer with somebody in England, you're like, yeah, there's a good, you might just be closing the place with them. So you're thinking, okay, this is the last one, and then I have to go. So I do like that kind of atmosphere. But I don't know. What anybody else, like? What would you think the pros and cons would be for those of you who live here? Jeff, all right, Jeff, what do you think the pros and cons are if you're still here? Let's see. Wait, what is this? Rodion says, what about girls? Are British girls better? We know you've been single for a while. Oh, that's a good topic. All right, let me know if you guys want me to go down that a bit further. Wait, where was I? Business-wise, life-wise, I mean the balance. So yeah, it's one of the things that, because I think coming out here business-wise was like, I also came out here, it coincided with me being a father. So like, it wasn't so much the changing, like there were two major changes to my life at the same time. And it's hard to like pull them apart. Cause like part of me thinks, well, when I was in the States, I used to do a lot more at night. But it's like, no, as a father of young kids, you just don't do a lot at night. Like I'd work late. I mean, that was and I also was like, when I was in the States, I was in the Army, and I was like, and then I worked a lot of other jobs. I worked in like a motel. I worked at SeaWorld for a year. I worked at Fiesta, Texas in San Antonio. So when I came out here, I also I got the job in the factory working from 11 to 7. I did that for 2 months, and then like no jobs, not like every day CVs going out. And then when I got the job at Canary Wharf, it was like this big culture change. It was like another huge change happening at the same time. So I was getting up every day. We had a car that, because I had no money, and I bought a car for 300 pounds, which I guess is about $500. And from a neighbor, which is really cheap, and it was really cheap for a reason, because it broke down all the time, right? So I would drive this car, which made so much noise, and it was like probably a huge pollutant, and I would drive this thing and pray that it would get me the 10 miles from Wantage, where I was living, to Didcot, where I'm living now, where the train station is. And the amount of times I had total strangers who would pull over. I mean, again, we're talking about nice people. Pull over and help me push this thing to get it started. It was just like, So this is one of the things I always do. If I see somebody trying to push a car to get started, I'm like, hey, all right, you get inside and let me push it, because it's like, I know what that's like. But like, I used to get up early, put the suit on, and all the suits I wore for like the first couple of years were from charity shops or thrift stores, and they all cost like less than 10 pounds. And they were like, and you knew that if it was like a suit, like a really nice suit, you knew it probably belonged to a dead guy. I mean, not, like, it's probably dead now, whatever. So like, I'd have these wool suits and these like really scratchy stuff that looked like, and I would go in, but I would work like crazy hours those first couple of years. Like, I had a small baby at home, and I would work till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. There were times where I worked until pulling the all-nighter, where you're still in the office and the sun's coming up, and you're like, dude, or at least I don't have to worry about missing the last train, because then So that was like a lot different. But it's like, I think that the work-life balance is different. It's not really the country thing, because other people I know were not doing the same thing I was doing then. I mean, the people I was working with were. Let's see. A DJ Snoopy says, a few weeks back, there was a place you were live in. There was a glass wall, and you could see the cars moving, and we could see it getting dark. Yeah, this is the same place. This is me in my living room. So, let's see. And then, so yeah, usually it's around this flat. Yeah, sometimes I'll go into the bedroom, but yeah, there's a road behind me over here. It was a nice view. I know, I need to find a better view. Yes, different plans are really useful. They eventually lead to more revenue. Oh yeah, I'm talking about the thing. So, not sure if it was a glass wall or a window we could see through. It may have been. Let's see. It was a really nice view. Oh, cool. Well, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try to see if I can. Maybe next week I can set up closer to the window so you guys can see outside. And all my fans out there with the placards and everything. It's just embarrassing. Jeff says, there's no dangerous animals or biting insects that you get. Yes, exactly. There are no biting insects. Yes. And also you have to be worried about knife crime. That's a huge one. When people say knife crime's on the rise in England, it's like, knife crime? Like in the States, it's like, it's gun crime. It's, and that's, whereas, it's kind of strange because growing up there, you weren't thinking about this kind of stuff all the time. But and it might be you look. So it's strange to be outside where the place you grew up, and you kind of like we grew up in a not good neighborhood. Like the neighborhood had quite a lot of crime, but when you're growing up, you don't really notice that kind of stuff. It wasn't like it was it was just the way things were. And yeah, I guess I have there's no bitey insects, and there's and crime is a lot better here. I mean, you still get crime, and you still get stuff like that, but yeah, it's knife crime. Hey Matthew, how's it going? Let's see. Raja says cancellation matters, rates matters a lot. We're still talking about subscriptions. It depends on your app's uses for users. My app has a cancellation of 15%. Oh, interesting. And then how about girls single for a while? Yeah, it's been on a few dates, but let's see. Let's see. Matthew says, is there a way to block click fraud on universal AMP campaigns? I don't know. I mean, it's one of these things where this is one of those, like when you're the one actually paying the money, then you're actually glad that those click fraud things are in there, and you hope that Google will catch them. Like a lot of us as developers were complaining about the fact that, Google says we're self-clicking and I'm not, but it's like if something looks out of the ordinary, those algorithms will hopefully pick it up. But I can't think of any way that you could prevent it. I mean, that's the whole thing with ads. It's one of those, don't you think it's annoying when you Google something, what you're looking for, so you just put it into Google because you're like, I know what I'm looking for, and then an ad for that comes up first, and and then the next entry is the non-ad for that same website. That should not be allowed to happen. Because I always go I always try to don't click on the ad, click on the next one, because, dude, it's they're, but I think a lot of people might not do that. Also, Matthew says, I also got a weird email saying, action requested, declare your ad ID permission. Yeah, I got that one too. I got to do that. And I'm not, I got to find out what it is. Samuel says, father of 5 kids, bedtime of kids 7:30 p.m. My bedtime is 8:30 unless I'm working 10:30. I know, this used to be, I remember being out here for a few years, and I went back to the States, and my brother was it was 9 o'clock at night. And he's like, hey, you want to go down to the batting cages? So yeah, sure. So we go down to the, we're over by Mission Bay, and we go over by the, it's like a 25 or 30 minute drive, and we just go, and there's the batting cages all lit up and everything like that, and you're just thinking this is I miss this 24-hourness of it all. But then there's also the, I don't know, kind of the, getting to bed early and everything like that too. Let's see. Abla, hey, how's it going? Says, hi, can you please share with us a kind of website that analyzes your text, title, short description, long description, AI sentiment, or I'm not familiar with this, please. I'm not quite sure if for Google Play games. I'm not sure which kind of websites check for sentiment or what kind of algorithms do. I know those kind of things are out there and they exist, but I'm not really sure which ones those would be. Morris says, is Apple going to subscription for all iPhones in the future? I haven't heard anything about that. I think they're all available. Some things shouldn't be subscription. Like some things should just be, there's just the features of the applications that you pay for. It kind of bothered me when everything started going subscription. It bothered me when Adobe went subscription based. Like, it was like, like they don't even have to release a new version and they're just like, okay, now it's a subscription. Wait a second. The entire thing runs on my computer, uses my processing power. I download it from you. Everything happens locally, but I'm paying you a subscription for that? Like, that bothered me in some way. And I know when I worked in investment banks, like that was a lot of the software and stuff we used were subscription based. Like they would pay for the number of users, which I just could not, understand, but I mean, I could understand it, but it just didn't seem like right to me. But, so I haven't heard anything about that. So, let's see. And then Matthew says, I launched a website for my app. Would you like to see it? Sure. I think if you put the URL in, it might get blocked. So if you just let us know what it, if you could I don't know, tell us what it is without putting the URL in, that'd be, we can have a look at it. But yeah, Jeff, you're right about the no bitey things. Yeah, there actually are a lot of good things about living in England. Thank you for that. That really, yeah. There's no bitey insects. You don't have to worry about snakes. Crime's a lot better over here. Although I suppose if you live in London, you'd be like, no, crime's pretty bad over here. It's like, yeah, but you're not so worried about getting shot by like someone, like everything. So let's see. Robert T said they're switching Windows to subscription only too. I'll switch to Linux before paying a subscription to Microsoft. Yeah, it's this is weird, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I pay for Office 365 subscription, and it's the only reason I have Office 365 is because I use because I use Excel and Word sometimes. I use G Suite for most everything else, but because a lot of things are compatible, like I think you could export as a docx. I know you could with OpenOffice. I'm actually not sure with G Suite, but like for the most part, I don't need to export it. Like if I export anything from Google Docs, it'll be as a PDF because I don't want to collaborate with anybody. If I want to collaborate with somebody, I'll send them a link if I want them to update something. So that works really well for me. It's only because of the working with other clients that they'll send you stuff. You can't be like, see, the thing is I don't want to pay the $10 a month or whatever is £6 a month for the Office 365 subscription. But it's another example of, there's something installed on my computer that, I know there's updates to it, everything like that, but it's still, let's see. Let's see. Jeff says, hey guys, is $1.99 dollars a safe threshold for my small utility iOS apps? I don't know. You need to play around with that. And this is one of those, make sure that don't hard code the price in the application. What I mean is, if you have a label saying, buy now for only whatever, don't hard code that in the application. Have it read from the App Store. That way you could make those changes, change the band in the App Store and play around with different pricing models, right? You might, it's probably better to start a little bit higher and then reduce it and then see, play around with which one does better. Or even if you start lower, you can still raise it later. I used to say that it's better to start off high and then go low because then people will be it's they won't complain about it if you actually go lower. But the truth is, at least in my case, nobody was watching the price on a daily basis. It would just they would see it from time to time and then whether or not they wanted to use it. Let's see. There's no poison ivy in Europe. Dude, all right, okay. You guys are really you're cheering me up today. Yes, you're right. There's no poison ivy. Subscription's gonna get canceled if you vote incorrectly. If you voted, okay, I get it. Okay, let's see. like, uh, Stefan says, besides coding, what are your other hobbies? I used to say I don't have any other hobbies, but now I've been going to the gym a lot. That's my thing the last few years. Like, and I started taking up boxing. So that's what I do at night. I go to the boxing class. I'm gonna go there tonight. A few weeks ago, I was gonna do a Friday video, but my nose was all bruised up, and so that's something that's really, really fun. I encourage every guy out there to try it, to give it a go, because it's like I've never been a fan of boxing. I've never been like, aside from Rocky movies, I never watched Mike Tyson or anything like that. I was like so scared to go in there and do it, really intimidated by it. But I thought, okay, I'll just go in there and just like, and I was just so like, you walk in there like, I just thought I'd just check it out, whatever, like you walk in there like, okay, if this looks really bad when you walk in there, like, I'm just going to say, oh, I thought this was someplace else and walk back out. But I went down there and it's really like everyone's really nice, even though you get in there and everyone's really nice. And you got these guys who are like, they're really, really buff. They're really good at what they're doing. And I suck at it. Oh my God, I'm really bad at it. But I think if I keep doing it, I'll get better at it. And it's kind of thing where most of the time when I've had like a hobby, it'd be like, I want this to go into something else like someday. Like, okay, if I get really good at this, then maybe I could do it. But like boxing's not going to unless I actually get into a fight, and that would be like a bad thing. Like if Chris Rock says anything about my woman, for example, then this will come in handy. But that was awesome, wasn't it? But like, yeah. I'm not going to be like a professional boxer, but it's just something I really like doing. It's kind of like when you're like on the bag, you're doing the uppercuts on the bag and everything like that. It just feels so manly. It feels so awesome. And then to get into sparring, so that was it for like a year practically. All I was doing was like the bag, and I'm going to some classes, and then I started going to sparring, and then I was like, okay, we're sparring. I'm gonna put everything I've learned to use, and then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I'm like a sissy and going back. So like I'm getting over it. I'm gonna keep doing it until like I get better at it. But that's like probably my other hobby at the moment. And it's and I did the app for the boxing gym, which we did in Flutter and Firebase and everything like that. And that was fun too. But yeah, that's probably the thing that I really enjoy doing at the moment. So. Let's see. YA says, "Hey Eric, did you hear about Google allowing Spotify to use other billing methods instead of making it through the Play Store?" Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, because we need, I kind of, part of me feels bad about it because they built these platforms. They basically, like we said, it's too much money. They're charging us too much, but they're like, oh, they did built the entire infrastructure. Like they did everything. It's like, So, they put all that investment into it, and now they're reaping the rewards, and now everyone's stepping in saying, it's not fair. But then it's also like, monopolies are monopolies. So let's see. Morris says, is the pandemic over in England? Cases are on the rise, but like all the restrictions are lifted, I think. The last time I wore, so a lot of people wear masks. It's still kind of one of those things. Are you a masker? Are you not a masker? I haven't worn a mask since I went and gave blood last week, and that was one when they want you to wear. I mean, it's a medical thing, so I'm fine with that. But yeah, it's still kind of a thing. Oh, next weekend I'm going to Italy. So like I'm finally gonna make a trip in 2022. I'm gonna go to Italy with my son. So I might try to do a video for him there, but. So yeah, let's see. Matt says, "Can you see the link?" No, I can't. Let's see. Samuel says, "Dude, Chris Rock was out of line." Hey, Samuel, what I really loved about it was like both were doing what they should do, because I think that was a perfect freedom of speech moment. Like Chris Rock was doing his thing. He was like, he was making fun of people. He was doing what he was like doing, right? But that's the thing about free speech. It's like you don't get canceled. You just you suffer the consequences of getting punched out. And I'm sure, while he was coming up and while all of his fellow comedians are coming up, that's something they risk doing the clubs all the time. Like, if somebody should really take offense like that. And Will Smith did what he should. Like, it was like one of these things where it was like, and it happened in front of Hollywood. Like, there was this masculine thing, this, I thought, it was really interesting. Man, what a thing to wake up to. Let's see. Jeff says, Eric, the cost of living is higher than the U.S. I think the USA may be a better standard of living in general. That's true. It depends on where you are. Like I think about going back to San Diego, and I know that it's really expensive to live there. And when we talk about the high gas prices over there, like, I remember going over there on vacation. Like there was like a real surge in gas prices. I think it was like it may have been around 2008 or so. Whatever. There was like gas prices were really high over there, and I went over there and I thought. And I had this rent a car, and I went in, and I was like, you pay at the pump before you pump your gas. So I went in there, and I just had cash. I said, I'll put $80 on pump number 5 or whatever. And I thought that would be like, that's a lot of money. And but it's probably about what it is. That was my best guess. And if I have to, I'll come in and give them more. And it was like, I went back, it was like $36. I was like, and that's why I realized, okay. And the whole thing about the liters to gallons thing, like I just never. Like sometimes people say, like try to figure it out, but we've always paid a lot for petrol over here, and so I kind of forget about that. And I think if I, like when I first moved out here, I was always making the conversion in my head, and it was driving me crazy. So now I'm just like everything's just in pounds. Otherwise, I'll just go crazy. Let's see. Morris says I did karate for 10 years. If Will Smith tried to slap me, he would get a lesson. Yeah, that was. I know. I thought it was a punch. Somebody told me it was a slap, but I thought that's even more degrading. Let's see. Matthew says, "Where do I put it? Can you just spell it out for me? Like, just tell me what the name is, and then if it's and then space com or something like that. And let's see if we can do that because I can't. The link doesn't come through, and we can have a look at it. But then I got to get going here in a minute. But yeah, Morris, the karate thing. I did Taekwondo for like 3 years. And I think it was a blue belt, I had the red stripe. So it was like blue belt, red stripe. And it was something I enjoyed doing, but it was also like, it was twice a week. And the Sunday, so it was like a Sunday class and a Wednesday class. The Wednesday night class was good, but the Sunday was like, there's a lot of little kids in it. And a lot of times you'd be sparring was the one thing I was like really wanted to get good at it. And a lot of times I'd be sparring with someone who was just like some kid, some like 12 or 15-year-old kid who just like and you're like, man, like all the black belts get to all do all the cool sparring. But see, Amor says boxing / karate are good if you have more than one opponent, but grappling usually wins one-on-one. Yeah, they do have like at the boxing gym I go to, they have BJJ, and I was gonna do that, but it was like right after, like kind of it was like I started going, and I think it was like November of 2020. So like we were still kind of in a lot of stuff still wasn't happening because of COVID, and so yeah, and I thought that would definitely not be on, but I did think about that, like getting into, because that seems to be kind of the popular thing. And then I was gonna do, in fact, I was thinking about doing that. Like I was like looking at all kinds of Krav Maga, like stuff I just heard of, like kind of like when I was trying to figure out what kind of computer language I want. Java, I've heard of Java, so like Krav Maga, like was it and everything, and in the end it was like. In the end, and I went in there and I saw the big heavy bags and the gloves and everything. I thought, oh, I want to try that. I want, that was, but then like I didn't even know, like I didn't know the difference between a jab and a jab and a hook and everything like that. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like it didn't take a lot of instruction really, but it was like still some of these things. You're like, and I was like just not knowing if I'm allowed to hit the bag. I brought a friend down there recently, and he was like, "Am I allowed to hit these bags?" I'm like. Yeah, just hit the bags. Like, yeah, because you think, do I need special training to hit this bag? It's like, no. I mean, you might, hurt yourself, I guess, but it's like, there's not that much, explanation that goes into it, and how to wrap your hands up and everything like that. And I still have this weird thing after years of just being this, like, introverted, polite guy that if I'm sparring and I get a shot through, and by the way, they get more shots through than I do. I'm like, I don't get my guard up enough. That's my thing. I don't get my guard up enough, right? So when I do get a good shot in, like there's like one where I was so proud of myself because I was like went, like a what was it? Yeah, like a side jab, broke the guard and came with right hook. And got him right in the face. First words out of my mouth were sorry, You know, it's like, you know, and I got shouted at from the side saying, "Don't say sorry," but like when you get a good shot in. Let's see. Taekwondo is mostly kicks. Good if you're young, hard when you're old. Yeah, I suppose so. Matthew says, I removed the slashes. Matthew, I can't seem to see it. YKD. TKD. Taekwondo. You have to learn some grappling in case you ever get taken down. Yeah, I suppose so. You can grapple when you're old, no problem. Yeah, I don't want to do stuff because I could do them when I'm old. Like, I don't want to start thinking that way. Like, you know, can you do it when you're old? Although that was the first thing I did when I emailed them saying, you know, am I too old to be doing this? Matthew, just tell me what the middle part is. Well, if I was Googling it, what would I search, Matthew? Cool. But we are kind of Matthew. Matthew, can you email it to me or send it on Discord, and then we could do it on the next week's or on the next live. By the way, I'm thinking about going to live streams once every 2 weeks. I don't know if you guys unless you guys are okay with doing it every week. But you know, this is fun tonight. This is fun. I like talking about the different. Like all of a sudden, I came into this. Now I'm thinking about, first of all, like all the cool things about that England has that the U.S. doesn't. Like no snakes, you know, like no snakes, no poison ivy, knife crime, higher cost of living, but whatever. So, let's see. Matthew says no clue. Okay. Yeah, Matthew, if you don't know what you would Google to find it, that's basically one of the top keyword researches. Like when you do a website, I put it on app sharing. Yeah, that's good. That's a bit too. Yeah, that I might. I'll tell you, send it through Discord. We'll do it next week because we are running out of time. It's like 6 o'clock here. Sorry about Matthew. I'm really sorry about that. But if you send it to me, we need to have some sort of way of doing this where we could share. All right, Joe says weekly. All right, I just want to make sure, like, you know, because I know like we don't, you know, like, let's make sure if you guys keep showing up, I'll keep showing up. I do like doing this, by the way. Let's see. Morris says, I saw the thumbnails this week. Did you do something new? I don't know. I don't think so. So for like the live stream, I don't. It's Ren on my team. She does the thumbnails. Like so. Okay. So I gave her like a bunch of pictures of myself. And then like she likes the one where I'm pointing. I hate that pose. Like I'm pointing, right? Or like she likes the one where I'm going like this. That's her favorite pose. And like, you know, you would think that I make that pose all the time. How often that she uses that thumbnail, but it's like, right? I don't do, like, it's not like a standard pose for me. Or like that stuff. But like, you know. So anyway, let's see. Weekly 4. Weekly. Okay, cool. All right. Well, let's see. All right, so we'll keep doing it weekly. We'll talk to you guys next week. I'll tell you guys all about Italy. Hopefully, I'll do like I'm going to Milan, so hopefully I'll do like a video from Milan and everything like that. Should be fun. Morris, please. Matthew. Matthew, please send me that link through Discord so we can do it. Or if you can send it to info@overpass.co.uk, we could put it on next week's live stream. I have to get going, everybody, but thank you for joining the live stream. I really, really enjoyed it this week. I hope you guys have a great week ahead. That's it. I hope you stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll talk to you next time.
Winterland, tell me all your secrets. Fill me in on your wildest moments. Colored trees